Hello class, we're team number 1 and we're going to talk about extraordinary gastronomy. The team is conformed by Fernanda Exacarias,
Carla Flores,
Bianca Ponce,
Karina Cifuentes,
Mario Vargas,
Shirako, Japan. As euphemisms go, this one's a corker. Shirako in Japanese means white children, but it refers to the sperm sacs of either cod, anglerfish, or pufferfish. Looking like white blobs of goo or miniature brains, they are said to have a sweet and custardy taste. Tuna eyeballs, Japan. It's waste not whatnot when it comes to tuna in Japan. Even the eyes are plucked out and served up cheap in supermarkets to cook, simply boiled or steamed, and season them with garlic or soy sauce. Perhaps unsurprisingly, it tastes a little bit like squid.
Balut, the Philippines. This fertile set duck egg with its partly developed and bright inside is boiled alive and then eaten from the shell with salt, chili, and vinaigrette. You're supposed to tap a hole in the top of the shell, soup the savory liquid, and then crunch down the rest of what's inside. Feathers, bones, and all. Crispy tarantulas, Cambodia. Few people will look at a tarantula and think, lunch. So it's perhaps no surprise that these spiders were first eaten by Cambodians, starving under the Khmer Rouge regime. Bizarrely, they became popular and are now served as a deep fried snack throughout the country.
white and egg soup, Laos. One of the world's more unusual soups, Gaeng Kai Mot Den, combines a mixture of ant eggs and partial embryos from the white ant, plus a few baby ants to add sourness. If your stomach can handle it, the flavor is supposedly quite tasty, sharp and delicate, and a little like shrimp. Jellied moose nose, Canada. Nose isn't exactly a choice cut, but that hasn't stopped some adventure Canadians from experimentation with nasal gastronomy by boiling them up with onions and spices, removing the hair, boiling again, then slicing and covering with a broth that's set into a jelly. It certainly looks as bad as it sounds.
Washington, Korea. This supposedly health-giving Korean soup is made with spring onions, dandelions, a host of spices, and one infamous ingredient, dog meat. Though you will struggle to find it on menus, today it's a popular with the older generation, and generally agreed to taste better than it smells. Huitlacoche, Mexico. Corn smut is a fungus that turns normal corn kernels into tumor-like growths covered in blue-black spores. To most people, that's a diseased corn cob that needs to be thrown up. To the Mexicans, it's a culinary specialty. They call it huitlacoche. That means sleeping excrement, and enjoy the woody, earthy flavor of the fungus.
Air Mongole, glass of fermented horse milk. Anyone in Mongolia, this is an unusual offer at all. They make a kind of beer called air by taking mare's milk and letting it ferment into a fizz, sour and sliding alcohol liquid. It's traditional served chilled in a bowl-shaped cup. Dregs are subset to be poured back into the main container. Maktuk, Greenland. A traditional Inuit meal of frozen, well-skinned blubber, muktuk, is normally served either raw or pickled. It looks a little bit like licorice oysters and has several layers. The skin, which apparently tastes like hazelnut, that fat, chewy, and that protect layer in between, even more chewy. Don't eat if wearing dentures.
Frog legs in France. Although frog legs are common in French cuisine, it is a delicacy in many parts of the world, not limited to Thailand, China, the Caribbean, Indonesia, and sporadically throughout Europe. Frogs are raised commercially in certain countries, such as Vietnam. It is said to be rich in protein, omega 3 fatty acids, vitamin A, and potassium. Big butt ants in Colombia. Pregnant leaf cutter ants, known as big butt ants, are collected by hand during the spring mating season. They are then roasted and lightly salted to make a tasty snack. Nice and crunchy. They have a sort of earthy, irony taste. They are actually packed with protein, and locals laud them for having aphrodisiac qualities. Big butt ants can be bought in small bags of a handful, ranging up to large jars at corner stores and shops in the Santander region. You eat them as a snack, like peanuts. Maggot cheese in Cerdeña, Italy. Casu marzu is a well-aged pecorino cheese in which holes have been placed, and which is left outside for flies to deposit their eggs in it. Once the eggs open, the maggot's larva starts feeding on the cheese, and the cheese is ready. Hard on the outside, the inside of the cheese looks more like a thick spread. It's a strong cheese, not for those who like mild flavors, and it's eaten while the maggots are still alive. Sanakji, life octopus in Korea. Sanakji isn't quite alive in the way you might think. The octopus is chopped up and prepared with light seasoning. The experience of eating live octopus, it's like going into battle with your food. The active tentacles wiggle up the chopsticks. They suck to your teeth and the inside of your mouth. The meat is slightly chewy and crunchy at the same time. The flavor is so fresh and briny, like the freshest seafood you have ever tasted. Basashi, raw horse meat in Japan. Raw horse meat is served thinly sliced with sesame oil and grated ginger. The meat is very tender, not chewy at all. There isn't much difference between basashi and sashimi. Basashi is a specialty in Kumamoto on Kyushu Island. But if you keep your eyes open, you can try it in many traditional Japanese bars called izakaya all over the country. Morcilla, blood sausage in Spain. Morcilla is a type of blood sausage local to Spain. It is made with cooked pork blood, which is mixed with rice and onions, and then left to dry. Morcilla looks like a normal sausage, but its color is very dark, almost black.
Giant and eggs and raspberry in Luang Prabang. The taste is hard to describe, and eggs don't taste like much, but they are a bit crunchy on the outside. And in the case of the eggs from giant ants, they explode when you bite down on them and release their creamy liquid intro. In combination with tart raspberries, this was quite the experience. Crocodile meat curry in Cambodia. Amok is arguably Cambodia's most famous dish. I'm oversimplifying the dish by calling it a curry, but in some respects, It is essentially a steamed banana leaf curry. Fried insect bugs in Thailand. Plateau Mall in Bangkok is a long line of vendors selling pies of these creepy, crazy, edible insects. From barbecued scorpions on a stick to fry bugs sorted on steel platter. It might turn your stomach at the first glance, but they don't really taste as bad as you think. You might even be surprised to find yourself enjoying this weird dish. Coconut worms in Vietnam. If you've not seen coconut worms before, they're a form of beetle larvae which look like huge maggots. Beetles lay their eggs inside coconuts and the larvae grow inside. They ruin the coconut, but the worms are delicacy to the Vietnamese who eat them in a number of ways. It's become more popular with tourism and sometimes they're fried, sometimes fermented and steamed, and sometimes eaten raw. Rats in India. The taste is like that of chicken, but with a rubbery feel. Rats are eaten widely in this part of the world. It is even considered a delicacy cooked during the time of the festivals and family gatherings. The meat is often boiled in water with salt and chili and leafy vegetables and ginger added as a garnish. Sometimes the fresh meat is roasted and smoke dried and preserved for later use. Mopane worms in South Africa. Mopane caterpillar are a South African dish which are high in protein. They may not look great, but they are cheap source of protein because mopane are almost 6% protein and lots of iron and calcium. For many Southern African people, mopane worms are a cheap and easy form of protein, very salty and crunchy, like they had been grilled until they were charcoal. Durian fruit in SA Asia. It's hard to describe what durian tasted like. Pungent is the only word that's come to mind. I have to concede that these durian crisps make the fruit quite palatable, so inside the crisp, besides the durian fruit, there is a layer of something like sweetened whipped cream.
Pickle swallow in Laos. The much sought after delicacy has an extremely pungent, overpowering sour taste. And if the taste doesn't get to you, the texture will. You need a stomach of steel to get through the crunchy little bits of bone and beak. Sopa de mondongo trip soup in Nicaragua. Mondongo soup had a pleasant taste, not unlike typical vegetable and meat broth found across Latin America. In addition to the furry appearance of the stomach lining, it had rich banana, cassava, carrots, and a range of other tasty vegetables. The stomach lining itself was very chewy and had a rather strong taste, but it was not unpalatable. Escargot snail in Paris. Escargots are fluffy and they tend to taste like whatever they are cooked in, which is usually butter, garlic, and parsley. Usually, escargots come with two special tools to eat them: snail tongues and a snail fork. Therefore, it's important to be familiar with these tools before eating snails. You don't want to make them fly in the middle of the dinner. Tacacá soup in Brazil. It is a spicy soup with dried shrimp, peppers, and leaves from the bamboo plant. It is these leaves that cause the numbing sensation. If you really want the full effect of the numbing, you should chew the leaves for a few minutes. The sensation feels like something we have experienced at the dentist, and it's completely unusual. Chicken breast dessert in Turkey. The final result had a sweet, creamy, and suave sticky texture, and is served with cinnamon. If you love milky dessert, you're sure to love it. Contemporary called kasandivi, which is made like tteokbokki goksu, but the outer layer is caramelized. Brain curry in India. Brain curry tastes just like a soft-cooked egg, creamy and texture that melts in the mouth. Brain curry is mostly fat and high in cholesterol, but at the same time, it's rich in omega-3, fatty acid, vitamin B12, iron, and protein. It's considered good for boosting brain cells.
Menudo. After drinking a lot of tequila shots, no one can escape of the curse of a hangover kissing you when you wake up. But instead of getting rid of it with medicine, Mexico can bet on their favorite hangover cure, menudo. This soup is tasty, rich in vitamins, and rich in spongy meat you see swimming in the healthy sea. Menudo is made by boiling beef tripe, cow's foot, and marrow bones in a pot, and later mixing it with chilies, herbs, and spices. Escamoles. Escamoles were once a common food during the pre-Hispanic times, but now it's delicacy known as the Mexican caviar. These light-colored eggs, harvested from maguey plants, have a puppy texture and a slightly nutty taste. Some even said that their taste is similar to pork rinds. Escamoles are often pan-fried and found in tacos or omelettes. They can also be eaten alone with guacamole and tortillas. Tacos de lengua. This is the taco you don't want to underestimate. It is special. It has that unique flavor that it will make you lick for some more. It's a taco with a yummy filling composed of the usual onion, cilantro, jalapeno, tomatoes, lime juice, and cow's tongue. Yes, it's not beef, not chicken or pork. It should be cow's tongue. Despite its weird texture, it's just as yummy as beef. Nopales. How can someone suddenly discover that a cactus leaf can be eaten? Before digging into history, let's just take a look at the present and get to know Mexico's nopales. Nopales are cactus leaves from a specific type of cactus plant found in Mexico. Cleaning the cactus leaves or pads, start with peeling away the thorns and bumps no one wants to eat. They can be sliced into different shapes before cooking, or you can just cook them whole. You can pan-fry them, grill them, boil them, or mix them into soup and salads. They pretty much taste like green beans. Tequila worm, Mexico. not actually found in tequila, but rather its cheaper cousin, mezcal. It's said that the legendary hallucinogenic properties of the worm are pretty much non-existent. Bondaji silkworms in South Korea. Bondaji is a famous dish in South Korea and is often served as a street food or at festivals. You will know when bondaji is near, as the smell is something that can't be described but very distinct. The Korean silkworms are grilled up in a big wok and served in a cup with a toothpick. They are also quite often served as a pre-appetizer to your meal and are brought to your table without even asking.
Pequi in Brazil. A pequi is a yellowish orange fruit about the size of an unshelled walnut, but more oval in shape. It's always eaten cooked, not rolled, and it's usually added to savory rather than sweet dishes. There are dozens of sharp spines taken out of the pit in the middle of the fruit. You're supposed to handily scrape off the outer layers of the fruit with your teeth, being careful not to touch the spines. Pequi are something sold canned and sliced with the sipens removed in grocery stores in Sao Paulo and other large sites. Maktuk, Greenland. A traditional Inuit meal of frozen, well-skinned blubber. Maktuk is normally served either raw or pickled. It looks a little bit like licorice oysters and has several layers. The skin, which apparently tastes like hazelnut, that fat, chewy, and the protect layer in between, even more chewy. Don't eat if wearing dentures. Hekar Island. How anyone conceived of this dish is a mystery. To prepare this, you need first cut and behave and grana shark. Place in a shallow grave and cover with sand and stones. Leave for 2 to 3 months. Then cut into strips and dry for several more months before serving. First time, pastors are advised to hold their nose and try not to gag. Century egg, China. If you discovered a rotten egg, will you eat it? Someone in ancient China did it. Lived to tell that tale, and now it's an established delicacy. The eggs, also known as 100-year egg or pigeon, are covered in clay, ash, and salt for months, by which time the gold is dark green and streams of sulfur. Salo on crime. Many advocate keeping the fat on meat, but the Ukrainians decided to go one step further and just eat the fat on its own. Usually made into slabs, smoked and left in a cold cellar for a year before being eaten sliced thinly with rye bread. Ukrainians love it so much. They even have a festival of lard to celebrate. Stargazy pie in England. A pie with fish that stare at the sky. Stargazy originates from the Cornishville of Muslo in England and is served on Tom Bocock's Eve in December 23. According to legends, this heroic 16th century sailor rowed out one December evening in high storms and returned with a catch big and notes that fill disturbing residents. Israel has of late been suffering from a plague of locusts, but fortunately, this is the only insect to be considered kosher.
We hope you enjoyed our little extraordinary gastronomy tour from around the world. We're team number 1. Thanks for your attention.